we're distant from or unaware of. Problems within the public school system are one of them. Many homeschool students are homeschooled because of issues they face within the public school system, while others might be homeschooled because it suits their lifestyle better. Both sides can clearly see the stark difference between homeschooling and public schooling. Public schools, especially those managed by the government, have a lot to work on for the well-being of their students. While public schools are mostly funded by taxes and local or state government, 10% is funded by the federal government. The local governments also control the choices and changes for their specific schools. In 2009, a system called the Common Core curriculum was implemented nearly nationwide. Currently, 7 states don't use the Common Core curriculum, including Indiana. Forcing students to follow a strict schedule for education limits their ability to fully understand subjects. Common Core curriculum changed things like math to fit a certain way of doing things instead of the way that might be more effective for the individual student. Testing such as Iowa, SAT, and ACT are troublesome in some cases as well. There have been many claims of unreliability, unaffordability, and inadequacy. Students spend months upon months studying for these tests when in reality they aren't a proper representation of a student's ability to learn or their intelligence. Many schools only teach students enough for them to pass a test, causing them to dump the information later on. The public school system is difficult enough for the average student and is far worse for students with learning disabilities. Students are given an imbalanced schedule and uneven assignments. The odd mixture of many short classes and hours upon hours of homework doesn't make much sense in the long run. In some schools, days are filled with several classes, not including extracurriculars, with not enough time allotted for the students to actually get something out of each class. The students get sent home with hours of homework that could have easily been done in class and taught in class if there was enough time. This schedule isn't well thought out. If a student has an extracurricular in the morning at, say, 6, and their school day lasts until 2, with another extracurricular sport lasting until 4, they still have around 4 hours of homework to get done. That's 7 p.m., not including breaks. Add another hour for studying. That gives a student around 4 hours of free time at night and 6 hours of rest. Teenagers, on average, need 8 to 10 hours of rest. This sort of schedule can have a lasting effect on a person's mental health. The feeling of a nonstop schedule with no control can mentally harm teenagers in more ways than one. Teenagers are already being faced with more challenging things coming their way, and adding the feeling of helplessness mixes them up further. Eating disorders, mental disorders, depressive episodes, and deep unhappiness can develop from an imbalanced life with no breaks. This stress can eventually become fatal. The percentage of suicide has quickly increased over the years, currently falling somewhere between 15 to 20% of high schoolers. Suicide is the second leading cause of death for U.S. teenagers. Public schools often teach in a way that prevents their students from mastering subjects. This method of education often causes students to simply memorize the information taught rather than understand it completely and comprehend it. The students learn enough to pass their tests or quizzes without fully understanding or comprehending the material. Not only is this not a good approach concerning mental development, but it can also trip former students after their educational careers. Many colleges don't look at AP classes that might have been taken in high school, despite them being pushed by public schools. Public schools provide an overall poor path to preparation for introducing someone to adult life. For example, classes like geometry and calculus are encouraged in high school, whereas financial classes are incredibly rare to find in the public school system. There's a bit of a contradiction there. Geometry and calculus aren't used in every single person's day-to-day life, whereas finance, on the other hand, is definitely used in most people's lives, regardless of their career. Public schools have much to work on, from curriculum and testing to faculty and funding. The education system has a responsibility of educating the future of the country, and from observing the methods today, there's a lot that can be done.